I was sitting in the lawyer's office when my Aunt Diane's voice cut through the room like a knife. "Hannah? Why are you even here? Gran's estate goes to the real grandchildren who took care of her. You barely visited." Uncle Paul nodded beside her. "Honestly, this is embarrassing. You weren't named in anything." My stomach dropped. I had a handwritten letter from Gran in my bag that said exactly the opposite. Mr. Brennan, the lawyer, shuffled his papers nervously, and I knew right then something was very, very wrong. "My name is Hannah. I'm 24 years old." And that moment in the lawyer's office, that was the day I realized my family had been lying to me all along. Let me back up a little so you understand how we got here. I work as a junior graphic designer at a small marketing firm downtown. It's not flashy. I'm not making six figures or anything close to it. But I'm independent. I pay my own rent, buy my own groceries, handle my own life. And honestly, I was proud of that. Growing up, I was always the quiet one in the family, not loud like my cousin Jenna, not commanding like Aunt Diane, just ordinary. At least, that's what they always made me feel like. But Gran? She never made me feel that way. My grandmother and I were close, really close. Every weekend, I'd drive over to her little house on Maple Street. We'd sit on her porch with iced tea in the summer, hot cocoa in the winter. I'd help her with errands, fix things around the house, just spend time with her. While everyone else was too busy, I showed up. Gran used to tell me I had the kindest heart in the family. She'd squeeze my hand and say, "You love people, Hannah, not what they can give you." I didn't realize until later that she was comparing me to the rest of them. My Aunt Diane is Gran's daughter. She's controlling, obsessed with how things look, always worried about what people think. Her husband, Uncle Paul, just goes along with whatever she says. And their daughter, Jenna? She's 28, has 15,000 Instagram followers, and thinks the world revolves around her perfectly curated feed. I always felt like the outsider, too quiet, too plain, too normal. When Gran passed away 3 months ago, I was devastated. I wanted to help with the estate, the funeral arrangements, all of it. But I couldn't afford to take time off work. Diane swooped in immediately. "Don't worry, Hannah," she'd said, patting my shoulder at the funeral. "We'll handle everything. You just focus on your job." I trusted her. Big mistake. 2 weeks before that lawyer meeting, I was cleaning out my closet and found an old envelope Gran had given me years ago. I'd honestly forgotten about it. On the front, in her shaky handwriting, "Open this if anyone ever tries to take what's yours." My hands were shaking when I opened it. Inside was a handwritten letter. Gran's words, clear and firm. She wanted me to inherit the family lake cabin and 30% of her savings. "Because you loved me, not my money," she'd written. I cried for an hour after reading it. If you've ever been pushed aside by family, subscribe right now and tell me where you're watching from. Because what happened next is something I need to share with people who understand what betrayal really feels like. So there I was, walking into Mr. Brennan's office on a gray Tuesday morning, that letter folded carefully in my bag. I wasn't sure if I should mention it. I didn't want to cause drama. I just wanted to understand what Gran had wanted, what she'd planned. Diane and Paul were already there, sitting in the leather chairs across from Mr. Brennan's desk. They looked smug. That's the only word for it. Diane's smile was tight and satisfied. Paul kept checking his watch like he had somewhere more important to be. Jenna was scrolling through her phone, bored out of her mind. Mr. Brennan was an older man, maybe in his 60s, with wire-rimmed glasses and a cautious way of moving. He cleared his throat as I sat down. "Thank you all for coming," he said. "We're here to read the last will and testament of Margaret Ann Grant." My heart was pounding. He opened the folder in front of him. To my daughter, Diane, I leave my home and personal belongings. Diane smiled and squeezed Paul's hand, like she'd won something. To my granddaughter, Jenna, I leave my jewelry collection and... Jenna perked up for the first time. Finally, something worth posting about. I felt sick. Then Mr. Brennan paused. He looked at me. And to Hannah. There must be a mistake. Diane's voice was sharp, cutting him off. My mother and I discussed this extensively. Hannah gets nothing. My heart stopped. I opened my mouth to speak, but Diane kept talking, her voice rising. She barely visited. She wasn't there when it mattered. Mr. Brennan looked uncomfortable. Mrs. Whitmore, the will I have here was updated 6 months ago. It clearly states... Paul stood up, his chair scraping against the floor. This is ridiculous. Hannah barely came around. My wife took care of everything. That's when Diane reached into her purse and pulled out a document. We have the real will right here, she said, sliding it across the desk. Notarized. Hannah isn't listed anywhere. My throat was dry. I finally found my voice. Gran gave me a letter. She told me... Jenna laughed. Actually laughed. A letter? That's not legally binding, Hannah. God, you're so desperate. The word hit me like a slap. Mr. Brennan asked to see both documents. The tension in that room was suffocating. I watched him compare them, his brow furrowing. Diane's version looked official. Stamped. Dated 1 month before Gran died. My letter was handwritten. Older. Not notarized. I'll need time to verify these documents, Mr. Brennan said carefully. There's nothing to verify. Diane snapped. This is final. Hannah, I'm sorry, but you're not entitled to anything. She didn't sound sorry at all. We left the office in silence. I was numb, clutching my bag, trying not to cry in front of them. And that's when I heard it. I was a few steps behind them in the hallway. Diane was whispering to Paul, but the hallway had an echo. I told you she'd buy it. Gran was senile at the end anyway. No one will believe her. I froze. They'd forged a new will. That night, I tried calling Diane. She didn't pick up. I sent a text, my hands shaking. We need to talk about Gran's will. Something isn't right. Her response came an hour later, cold and clipped. There's nothing to discuss. You're not entitled to anything. Stop embarrassing yourself. Then she blocked me. I tried Uncle Paul next. His reply was even worse. Diane's right. You're being greedy. Gran wanted family who showed up, not someone chasing money. I stared at that message for a long time. I'd loved Gran. This was never about money. It was about her wishes, her love, the years we'd spent together. And they were erasing all of it. 2 weeks later, there was a family gathering at Diane's house. To celebrate Gran's memory, the invitation said. I almost didn't go, but I thought maybe, just maybe, I could talk to Diane privately. Make her understand. I was wrong. The second I walked through the door, Jenna's voice rang out across the living room. Oh, look, the gold digger showed up. Every head turned. Aunts, uncles, cousins I barely knew, all staring at me. Diane came over, her smile sweet and fake. Hannah, sweetheart, we're all moving on. Maybe you should too. I tried to explain about the letter, about what Gran had told me. Diane cut me off in front of everyone. My mother was confused at the end. She didn't know what she was saying. It's sad, really, that you take advantage of that. The room went quiet. Then the murmurs started. That's low, even for her. I didn't think Hannah was like that. Poor Diane, having to deal with this. I left in tears, barely making it to my car before I broke down completely. On the drive home, something shifted inside me. They were counting on me staying silent, on me being too quiet, too ordinary, too weak to fight back. But Gran's voice echoed in my head. Her last words to me in the hospital. "You're stronger than you think, Hannah. Don't let them bully you." I wasn't backing down. 3 days later, I got a letter in the mail. From a lawyer I'd never heard of. Cease and desist from contesting the will or face legal action for harassment. I hadn't even officially contested anything yet. Then Jenna posted on Instagram. She didn't use my name, but everyone knew. Some people will do anything for money, even disrespect the dead. Family isn't always blood. The comments flooded in. "You deserve better, Jenna. Stay strong. Some people have no shame." My friends started sending me screenshots, worried, asking if I was okay. I felt trapped. No money for a lawyer. My family turned against me. My reputation being destroyed online. But then I remembered something. I pulled out Gran's letter and read it again. Slowly, this time. Really studying every word. And there, at the very bottom, in handwriting so small I'd missed it before. Copy filed with Everett Miller Notary, March 10th. My heart started racing. Gran had gotten the letter notarized. I grabbed my laptop and searched for Everett Miller. He was a retired notary, still living 2 towns over. What they didn't know was that Gran had been meticulous. She'd protected my inheritance because she knew they'd try to take it from me. I started digging deeper. Gran used to keep a journal. I'd seen her writing in it all the time. But Diane had cleared out the house within days of the funeral. Everything was gone before I could even look. Then I remembered Mrs. Chen, Gran's next-door neighbor. She and Gran had been friends for 20 years. I texted her. "Do you remember anything about Gran's legal documents? Did she ever mention her will?" Her response came fast. "Your grandmother asked me to witness a document signing last spring. Very official. She said it was important you got what she promised you." Another witness. I started gathering everything I could find. The notarized letter. Photos of me and Gran together over the years. Receipts from errands I'd run for her. A calendar where I'd marked every Sunday visit. And then I found the voicemails. I'd never deleted them. Gran's voice, warm and alive. "Just calling to say I love you, sweetheart. You're the one who really cares." I saved everything to a cloud folder, my hands shaking. What they didn't know was that I had proof. Real proof. And I was done being quiet. But I couldn't afford a big lawyer. Most wanted retainers I couldn't dream of paying. I spent hours researching and finally found a legal aid clinic that handled estate disputes. They connected me with Catherine Reeves, a semi-retired estate attorney who did pro bono work for cases she believed in. Catherine was in her early 60s, sharp-eyed and no nonsense. She listened to everything, reviewed my documents, and then looked at me over her reading glasses. "This is clear," she said. "Your grandmother's notarized letter, the witness testimony, the documented relationship. Diane's will is suspicious as hell." She agreed to take my case for a minimal fee, paid in installments I could actually manage. "We're going to file a formal contest," she said, "and we're going to win." While Catherine built the case, Diane got more arrogant. There was a family birthday party I didn't go to. My cousin recorded Diane's announcement. "We're selling the lake cabin. No point keeping it. Jenna and I are planning a Europe trip with the money." The video got sent to me with a laughing emoji. I stared at my phone, furious. That cabin was Gran's favorite place. We'd spent entire summers there together, swimming in the lake, making s'mores, watching the stars. And they were going to sell it for a vacation. "Let them think they've won," Catherine told me. "We're building the case quietly. They won't know what hit them." Catherine tracked down Everett Miller. He confirmed everything. "I notarized a codicil for your grandmother," he said. "She was very clear about her wishes. She specifically mentioned you, Hannah. She wanted to make sure you were protected. He still had a copy in his records. Catherine also subpoenaed Gran's medical records. The results came back clear. No dementia, no cognitive decline. Gran had been completely competent right up until the end. Diane's whole, she was confused excuse was a lie. 2 days before the court hearing, Diane sent me one last text. Last chance to drop this, Hannah. You're going to lose and look like a fool. I didn't respond. I was terrified, honestly. But I was ready. They underestimated you, Catherine told me the night before. That's their biggest mistake. The court hearing was in a small claims estate court. Not dramatic like on TV, but serious enough. Diane, Paul, and their lawyer, Mr. Torres, walked in looking confident. Diane was wearing pearls. Paul had his arms crossed. They looked like they'd already won. I sat next to Catherine, my hands shaking in my lap. The judge reviewed both wills in silence. Then Diane's lawyer stood up. Your Honor, Mrs. Whitmore cared for her mother extensively in her final years. The updated will reflects the reality of who was truly present and deserving. He presented the forged will, dated 1 month before Gran's death. The judge looked at him. Do you have witnesses to the signing? Torres hesitated. Just for a second. The witnesses were hospital staff. We're still locating them. Red flag. Catherine stood up, and her voice was calm and precise. Your Honor, we have a notarized codicil, signed 6 months before the contested will, explicitly naming Hannah Grant as beneficiary of the lake cabin and 30% of the estate. She slid Everett Miller's notarized copy across the bench. I watched Diane's face go pale. Catherine continued. We also have testimony from Mr. Miller and Mrs. Chen, both of whom witnessed Mrs. Grant's clear intentions. Additionally, medical records confirm no cognitive impairment. Mrs. Grant was fully competent when she signed this document. The judge asked Torres to respond. He fumbled. The more recent will supersedes, unless the more recent will was signed under duress or is fraudulent. Catherine interrupted smoothly. We'd like to request a handwriting analysis. That's when Diane snapped. This is absurd. Her voice cracked through the courtroom. My mother wanted me to have everything. Hannah was barely around. Mrs. Whitmore, please, the judge said firmly. Then I found my voice. It was steady, stronger than I expected. Your Honor, my grandmother and I spent every Sunday together for 3 years. I have photos, messages, voicemails. She told me she wanted me to have the cabin because it was our place. I'm not here for money. I'm here because my family lied and I won't let them erase what Gran wanted. Catherine nodded at me. I pulled out my phone, hands shaking, and with the judge's permission, I played one of the voicemails on speaker. Gran's voice filled the courtroom. Warm and clear and so achingly familiar. Hannah, my sweet girl, don't let anyone tell you you're not enough. I'm making sure you're taken care of. Diane looked like she'd been struck. Jenna was staring at her phone, face red. The judge ordered a handwriting analysis on the contested will. 3 weeks felt like forever. Then the results came back. The signatures on Diane's will didn't match Gran's verified signature. Likely forgery. The judge ruled in my favor. The notarized codicil stands. Hannah Grant is entitled to the lake cabin and 30% of the estate as specified. I couldn't breathe. I'd won. Diane and Paul sat in stunned silence. As we left the courtroom, Diane hissed at me in the hallway. You've ruined this family. I stopped and looked at her. Really looked at her. No. I said quietly. You did that all by yourself. Weeks passed. I took possession of the lake cabin. Diane was forced to return funds she'd already distributed. Jenna had to return some of the jewelry. The family group chat went completely silent. No one reached out to apologize. No one even acknowledged what had happened. One of my younger cousins, Emily, sent me a private message. "I'm sorry we didn't believe you. You were right." I thanked her, but I didn't rejoin the family circle. Some bridges, once burned, aren't meant to be rebuilt. I spent a weekend at the cabin, alone. Just me and the memories. In the closet, I found an old photo album Gran had left there. Pictures of us together over the years. Notes in the margins in her handwriting. My favorite memories. I sat on the porch and cried. Not sad tears. Grateful ones. Gran had known. She'd known the family would fight me on this. That's why she'd been so careful with the documentation. She'd protected me, even after she was gone. I didn't feel angry anymore. Just free. I decided to keep the cabin. Maybe rent it out to families who need a peaceful getaway. People who'd appreciate what Gran had built there. I used my portion of the inheritance to pay off my student loans and build an emergency fund. Nothing extravagant. Just security. Just peace. For once, their silence didn't hurt me. It freed me. I finally understood what Gran had been trying to teach me all along. Her real gift wasn't the money or the property. It was showing me how to stand up for myself, how to refuse to be erased, how to know my own worth, even when everyone around me said I had none. I never needed their approval. I just needed to believe in myself. If this story hit home for you, I need you to do something for me. Hit that subscribe button. Seriously. Family. Betrayal is one of the hardest things to go through, and I know so many of you have your own stories. Drop a comment below and tell me, have you ever had to fight for what was rightfully yours? I read every single one, and your words mean more than you know. Also, where are you watching from? I love seeing how far these stories reach. Remember, you don't have to be the loudest or the richest to deserve respect. You just have to know your worth. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next one.